Hey guys, Calv here, and today we will be doing episode 11 in the series of how to make guns in Minecraft. This episode is about animation, specifically the reloading animation, but it will kind of apply to many different types of animations. We'll use that as a framework, a jumping off point for other animations in the future. This one is the reloading animation. Now, the animation style I'll show you is what I would prefer or think is the ideal method. Now, the whether or not to do this animation is a hotly contested thing. But anyway, so here's the animation. So just like that. It's a little choppy. I didn't take extra time to fine tune it because I did have things to do this weekend and work. I just made it look good enough, and that's kind of where I left it at. So that is the full animation we'll be making today. I'm not going to cover making the 3D models, but I will be covering how to animate it. So as for the 3D models, the general workflow that I did is there, and again, there will be a download to all of the assets in the description. So if you go to the description, there will be a download for the version, a zip file, which will contain a version of the pack and a version of the resource pack at the end of this video. But if you want to follow the video's commands, you can just grab the resource pack only and follow the commands from there if you're working on something tangential. So if we go into the models, there's a new Glock model made by my boy Benny, or Kara, right? Designed by Benny G2000. It's that's his old name, but he goes by Character. Check him out. I don't know. I'll try to post any social links that he does have, but I don't know what social links he has. But anyways, so here we are in Cubic with a 3D model of a Glock. I chose the Glock because it's smaller than the AK and it will be easier to animate because all you have to do is remove the mag and tilt the gun. So I can logically think of an animation for this a lot easier than the AK. I didn't actually add the racks, the slide going back and forth on the reload when technically you would want to load one bullet in the chamber. I didn't include that because I'm lazy and pressed for time. But anyways, so what I do, the general workflow, is basically I will go into here, I will grab what I need to move, which is these models, okay, from the base, and then I will move them a little bit, whatever I think is good for an animation. Then I will hold right click and then I will grab the pieces I want to extrude or move. In this case, you want to extrude it to make a mag. And you just hold right click and there you go. So now you have a mag a little bit of the ways out, and this is exactly how I did it. And so I did all the animation frames that require a new 3D model. Sadly, that is 6 animation frames, which means our model size, which is why I don't suggest this, is pretty large. And I will be organizing this later, but for now we're just going to leave it like this. But you can see that the first 6 frames here, each number is a frame. The first 6 frames are the same size as the original model, and that's because if you change the elements just a little bit inside the model, you move some stuff around, you have to make a whole new fresh model. So that is kind of the annoyance with doing animations. You're going to get huge model files, huge resource pack files. I would not recommend adding stuff like reload animations or animations that require new elements or moving elements for projects that are going to have a lot of guns or going to have skins. I would not recommend it. But for projects that are going to have detailed guns, then yeah, it's something you can go with if you want to do like an adventure map or something like that. So that's why I'm including it in the tutorial. So all that explanation aside, these other frames are just parents with changed view models. So these are the type of animations that are ideal, or the type of things you want to be animating ideally, in the sense that it says reference the original Glock, but change the rotation and translation and keep the same scale. Okay, so to animate it, I basically just had different frames of the mag coming downwards, and then obviously going back in, I can just reverse the frames. And to move it around, I can, and let me get rid of this because I didn't have this. So this is the default, right? And then basically I just said, all right, so I want to rotate it a little bit this way. All right, and then I basically copied these settings into a frame, exported it. Then I was like, okay, so now I want to move it up a little bit and over a little bit. So then I just changed these settings a little bit. And then I basically just went through and changed them all just slightly for each frame and made kind of in my head what kind of movement I wanted. So I had the animation to go up and to the right. And then what I wanted was up and to the right, reload while staying up and to the right, and then go back to the center. So to do that, I only needed to animate the animation frames to go up and to the right. I encode that in frames 1 through 6. Frames 7 through 12 are actually just all going to have the same rotation, translation, and scale, as you can see here, which will keep the gun up and to the right, but they have a different model they reference. So that is how I make it. So while it's up and to the right, the mag goes back into it. And then the last frames, 13 through 18, are just the original Glock model, which is the model with the mag in it, and then slowly copying the motion of the Glock that I used to get it up and to the right. I just copy it to go back, but reverse the order. So I wanted to give an explanation at least, since I won't be actually making them. So then inside of Minecraft models item ender eye, I added this, which I'll explain it. I'm not going to do it. And actually, let me join these. I'll leave them spaced for now. So I added an encoding method, which we're going to use in the future. The encoding method is you have a 1, and then you have a 2 digits to represent what gun it is. So 01 is going to be the Glock, which will be our first official gun. Then the next set of digits will be used to encode what frame it is in the animation. And I'm going to add a third optional digit eventually in like the next video to fix iron sights or something like that, to be like a flag whether or not you're iron sighted. It'll be like in the middle, and we'll fix that later. But we want the animation frames to be the last 2 digits for the easiest access to animation. So the way this works is we basically just have to increment the custom model data number through these frames, 1 for each frame, and get to the end, and then come back to the beginning. So that's what we're going to do in the code today. So first we're going to copy the get command and call this Glock, which will give us one of our first official guns here. So the Glock is going to have a reload time of 20 ticks. It's going to reload 20 per mag, and it's going to have a mag of 20. Makes sense. And then the custom model data is 10100. That's what you want to return to when you're done. And then we'll just copy that into here. So that will be able to give us the gun. Now we need to go into the actual animation stuff, which is actually not very hard. So we're going to create a new folder called anim, and then we are going to create a function called stop, and we're going to create a function called reload. And these two functions will be very, very simple. So the stop animation is going to take basically what we did when we did the scoping or the unscoping. So in the stop, we're just going to do this, which basically loads whatever the stored original custom model data value is. And then we're going to do this inside of reload, and we're just going to do this, which increments the custom model data value. But instead of incrementing it from the stored value, we are just going to increment it from its own value, just like that. You do have to be careful to make sure that you don't run out of bounds, but at least when you stop the animation, it will return to where you started. So this will constantly increment the custom model data value. And that's really all we have to do for animation. Now we just have to set up the logic for starting the animation and stopping the animation. And some things that I wanted to add in general that are nice is inside the reload, we want to do function gun reload / ammo / get and execute. And then we can go execute if score dot reserve dot ammo stats matches less than or equal to 0, run function gun reload stop. So this is just if you don't have any ammo, then in the very beginning, then don't even do the reload. And then I'm going to add a say command so I know when it actually stops. Okay, so this is something important to do. If I go into ammo get, right, it's .ammo.reserve stats. That's the name. Sometimes I forget. So if you don't have any ammo in your inventory, then don't reload. The next thing to do is inside the main player, we are just going to, and it seems redundant, but we're going to do it down here. And we're going to do anim / reload. And if reload.repeat is at least 1. And the reason for that is you want to animate it at the end and not in the beginning. I mean, you can also do it up here, I guess. I don't know. I implemented it a little bit differently in my original coding, but I think just putting it here will be safe enough. We'll see if that causes any bugs later down the line. So inside reload per, I also liked to change this to have set at s reload.repeat -1. And then let me see. That would just set it to -1. And then in underflow and overflow, I like to just set it to -1 just so we know for sure it's not going to continue. Those are just safety precautions. And then the last thing you have to do just to make sure that this is good. So inside here, I basically just said stop reload anytime you swap, but you should only stop the reload if you actually are reloading, right? Or if you actually are holding. Well, okay, so we'll go into reload stop. Reload stop should do execute if score.id stats, right? So we need to see, like, if you're still holding the original gun, okay, then you will stop the animation. Otherwise, when you come back, you'll just have to stop the animation. So let's see. Right, you pass ID stats, yeah. So you pass ID if score ID stats matches at least one, run function gun anim/stop. So if you're still holding the gun, then stop the animation too. Or if you're holding any gun, then just reset its animation frame. So let me just do function gun get gun Glock. And for some reason, the Glock does not have the 3D model. So I needed a 1 here. Okay, so that's the Glock. And then I hit F, and there you go. That's the reload. And there you see it says the word stop, but it's not changing the animation frame of something that isn't a gun. Okay, so that's everything. Very simple in the code. As you can see, the logic is just to increment through these customized model data frames. And there you go. The hardest part is making the animation and making it look good, which obviously I can't really show on camera because that took a lot of time and like annoyance. But anyways, another free model for you guys to use. This is probably the last one I'll be including as a free model in the pack. I might have a sniper, maybe not. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.